everyone and welcome back to my channel. My name is Jade and today I am doing my December wrap up for you guys. I'm so proud of myself. Actually, this isn't just December. This is December and November because I haven't filmed videos in a little while. And I can't remember exactly when I finished these books, so I'm just doing my December and November wrap up. And I read a lot. Mostly because of audiobooks, because while I work, I listen to audiobooks, so I get a lot of reading done that way, which is very beautiful. But I'm going to go with what I have for my audiobooks first, actually. So the first audiobook that I finished, that's on my list, this is not in order, I have no idea when I read these, I'm just letting you know, is Dread Nation by Justina Ireland. This book was super good. 5 out of 5 stars. I've talked about this on 3 or 4 of like my 2018 lists that I've done. It's on my best books. It's on my surprising reads. It's just super duper good in my opinion. I really loved this book because it's so different from anything I've read before. So it takes place during like the Civil War period, except halfway through the Civil War, the dead started coming up as zombies and, you know, killing everyone. So this is a little bit after that, like 10 years maybe, but everyone is dealing with the fallout of zombies. So slavery was actually abolished in this world, but African Americans are still treated as slaves. They're the people that go out and fight the zombies. They're sent to special schools, which is where our main character is. She's at a special school trained to become a maiden. So basically what her job is to protect rich white women from zombies. So, you know, living the life. But she kind of gets mixed up in, like, conspiracies and stuff like that. And things in her life don't go as planned. And it's so good. I loved it so much. I loved all of the characters, well, all the female characters. I thought they were super good, and this world was so cool. Please read it. That's all I can say. The next book I finished is The Last Nansara by Kristen. I can't even read my own handwriting. That's an issue. You'll see it on the screen anyways. But I liked this book quite a lot. I think I would give it a 4.5, maybe a 4 out of 5 stars. It's about, I keep saying, oh, that irritates me. But it's about this girl who is the daughter of the king. But when she was little, she kind of like committed treason. She told the old stories. So basically stories are banished in this world because if you tell them, you get sick and die. So she was telling the old stories and it attracted a dragon. So in this world as well, there are dragons and they used to be the allies of the people, like the main character's people, but something happened and the dragons turned against them, so they've been like dealing with dragons and fighting them and slaying them. But so she drew the oldest dragon and he burned down half the city and killed a lot of people because of it. So everyone wanted her dead. But instead of killing her, they turned her into a dragon hunter. So she's like the most famous dragon hunter. She's always going out and killing dragons. But she was also promised, in exchange, like for the people's forgiveness, into an arranged marriage with like a boy whose parents died, but they were like important people, and he's like the commander of the army. But he's a really cruel, evil guy, and she doesn't want to marry him. And her father gives her a way out that if she can kill, like, whatever the greatest dragon's name is, the one that burned down half the city, she won't have to marry him. So she's going on a quest to do that, but things keep happening that, like, interrupt her progress, because she also doesn't want anyone to know what she's doing, so they don't try and stop her. But things keep happening, and secrets are revealed, and things are not as they seem at all. So this book definitely surprised me, like, a lot. And I feel like it kind of took, like, a newer trope and twisted it on its head, which I really enjoyed. I wish I could tell you what it was, because I don't know if you guys will see it the same way I did, but it was super good. Loved it. The next book I finished is Sky in the Deep by Adrena Young. This is a Viking gladiator sort of book, so it's about a girl who's in a tribe, and every 5 years they go to war against a different tribe because of something that their gods did, like some slight that their gods did. So every 5 years they go to war against each other, and then after a certain amount of time they just stop. It's kind of a strange, like, situation. But the main character's brother died in the last war, except she thinks that she sees him while going to war in this one, and she follows him and gets captured by the enemy and finds out a lot of secrets and discovers that maybe their people aren't as different as everyone leads it up to be. It's definitely really good. I think if you as you get more into the novel, it gets better and better. I don't think it starts out very great, but I still really enjoyed it. It's not something I've really read before, so that was interesting just to see like a different perspective. But I would say this is like a 3.75, maybe a 4. I don't know. I'm really bad with ratings, but it was still pretty good. I would definitely read it. I would definitely read it again, honestly, because it was a good story. But the next book I have is Down Among the Sticks and Bones by Sean McGuire. This is the second book to the Every Heart a Doorway series. It was super good. It let you see into two characters that were in the first book, and you got to learn how they found their door and like what their life was like, because all these kids that have doors kind of have sad lives, so you see what their life was like that led them to finding their own door, and then what their world was like, and then how they lost their door and got kicked out of their world. And it was really, really good. 5 out of 5 stars. I think all of these stories are so interesting. They're all really short, which kind of sucks, but honestly, I think maybe we think books should always be a certain length, but that's not always true. Like, with the stories he's going for, I actually really enjoyed that they're shorter, because I don't think they're meant to be, like, super long-winded stories. I think they're just supposed to kind of get the point across, like a fairy tale. So I actually really enjoy his books, and I would recommend this series to everyone. It's just such a good series, and I think if you like mystical worlds, I would recommend this book, because it's all, like, just the series, because it's all about kids who found their own mystical world and got kicked out. So you get to see so many different strange worlds, and there's also, like, other, like, plots going on. It's just super good. The next book I listened to is The Invasion by Peter O'Gulligan. This is the second book to the Call series, and I really liked The Call. I would say it's honestly one of my favorite books. And okay, so I think the writing is not good. A lot of people really hate the writing of the book. It's not very written well. But I thought the story was so good that I was willing to overlook, like, the pitfalls of the writing, kind of, and I really loved it. And then the second book happened. And the plot was so dumb. It was so dumb. Like, I got really mad while reading it, because I was like, why is this where this story's going? There's so much more you can do, and this is what's happening. I just feel like he had a really great story and just didn't know how to follow it up and how to end it, which really sucked, because I do really enjoy the first book, but I did not like the second book. It's definitely on my worst books of the year, just because it was such a disappointment to me. Oh, it's sad. But if you guys have read The Call, it's about, so 50 years ago, Ireland was covered by this fog, and everyone who tried to leave the island would disappear, but the boats would come back. And then kids between the ages, I think, of 12 and 18 would disappear, come back 3 minutes later, and be extremely disfigured or dead or turned into monsters. So people figured out that it's because of the Saeed. I can't say it. It's another word for fairies. But they would be taken into the fairy world and hunted and chased down. And it's an entire day in that world, but it's only 3 minutes in our world. And the reason this is happening is because, like, a long time ago, the kings banished the Saeed to this world because they wanted the resources and didn't want to share them. And so the fairies are just really upset and going after us. So all the kids are sent to special schools to try and learn how to survive. And even with that odds, I think only like 1 in 20 makes it back. And a lot of the people that make it back are severely, like, disfigured and stuff. Like, turned into things. Like, they're turned into things. It's really creepy. And I really enjoyed the second book only because you got to see a lot more. It's called The Greyland. You got to see a lot more of the Greyland and what kind of creatures that they would make, and I really enjoyed that, like learning more about the Greyland, but I just didn't enjoy the stuff that was in the human world, so. The next book I have is Defy by Sarah B. Larson. This is also on one of my worst books. It's not a bad book. I just don't think it's a strong narrative. Like, they tried to do like a super great plot line and then didn't have strong things leading up to it, so it's just kind of dumb. I think honestly, like a 2 out of 5 stars, which isn't something I'd usually give something, but this book is about a girl who is masquerading as a boy to serve in the army, and she has a twin brother, so like he helps her, and they've just always been there for each other. She ends up masquerading as a girl because, and this is the reason everyone hates the book, they're people of the land, but their king will take orphans and his own people and send them to a breeding house so he can breed soldiers for the war he's in. So she pretends to be a boy so that she doesn't have to suffer that fate, and then all boys who are orphans and stuff are put into the army. So she's put into the army. She's a member of the King's Guard, and she's actually like the best soldier, of course. And then things start happening and it gets really strange. Like, she gets like dragged into this outside plot. So like I think it starts off really well, but then there's nothing that happens in the book that should happen in an epic fantasy novel. So I just had some issues with that, but it is a read. I don't even know what to say anymore, but that's just kind of the plot, as she gets dragged into a different world because of the prince she's protecting, and he's trying to overthrow his father and all that kind of stuff. So, you know, wonderful. The next book I have is The Bear and the Nightingale by Catherine Arden. I would honestly give this book like a 3 out of 5 stars, which I think is strange for me, because everything about this book is something that I should love and I should enjoy, but I didn't. And I don't know if it's because when I was listening to it, I wasn't in a good mood or something, but something about this book just, I didn't enjoy it as much, which kind of sucks. But it is about this girl who lives out like in Russia, like mystical time period sort of thing, in like this really small town, and they have a hard time surviving because of the harsh winters. So it's just like a tight-knit community, and her dad's like, they don't have kings, but he's like whatever the leader is there. And she is a witch. Like, she has powers, so she can see the spirits. So what I did enjoy about this book is like, so there's like all of the typical folklore things from Russia, like the house spirits that will like protect your hearth and like your home, and then like the spirits in the woods, and like just all the fairy tale creatures are real and she can see them and she talks to them, which I thought was really cool. But things start changing when her dad decides to marry this woman, because her mom died a long time ago, but he decides to marry a woman who's a really devout Roman Catholic, I believe, and she wants nothing to do with these spirits. She thinks they're demons, because she's the only other person who can actually see them too, and she thinks they're demons, and she like makes everyone stop worshiping them, which actually weakens the spirits, which isn't a good thing because it allows an evil in the land to begin to wake up, and there's nothing to protect anyone from it. So the main character has to try and find a way to protect the land and her people while dealing with all these like people trying to push religion on her and seeing her as strange because she's not following the new religion. It's just, I think I don't like books involving religion is the more difficult part, because I think the main character handles it really well, but I was just so annoyed by all of it. Like, I was just like, you gotta be kidding, just let her live her life, oh my god. And I think I might have been in a bad mood while listening to it or something. Maybe if I reread it I would like it more, but I was just like, what is happening? I do like the world. Maybe I'll try the second book and see how I feel. I don't know, but I read that book as well. And then we'll get into the physical books that I read. I've read a lot of books. So I just finished this one really recently. It's The Well of Ascension by Brandon Sanderson. I did this for like a 24-hour reading thing, and I am so happy I read it. I'm finally continuing with the Mistborn series by him. And you know, I'm trying to read all his books, so like I'm proud of myself for this. The first book, The Mistborn, is about, so basically 1,000 years ago, or 10,000 years ago? 10,000 years ago, there was a hero of ages, like the prophesized one who's supposed to save everyone from a monster, and he's defeated. And this guy comes into power called the Lord Ruler, and he basically becomes their god, and he enslaves everyone except the nobles, and he's just like an all around not a good person. And then there's this team of people that are all thieves that just decide that they're going to take him down, which like isn't their sort of job, but that's what they decide to do. It's kind of like Six of Crows. Like, you get that feel because it's like, it's kind of like a heist almost. Like, they have to be able to break into the palace and like kill him and stuff like that, and they have to do so many other things to lead up to it, and because they're all a bunch of thieves and the different characters they have. But the main character, Vin, she is a Mistborn, which, like, she learns, which is, so the magic system in this world is why I love his books and him in this novel. So the magic system is called, they're called Allomancers, and Mistborn. So they drink these metals, and they have the ability to use powers from the metal, which, like, runs out as you run out of metals. And Mistborn can do all of them, and Allomancers only have, like, an affinity in one thing, so obviously Mistborn are really rare. So there's just kind of like a super big plot going on, and she's like discovering who she is, and it's super good. You just gotta read it. It's just like, it's one of those epic fantasy that are done right, dude. The next book I have is Toil and Trouble, 15 Tales of a Woman in Witchcraft. This is just 15 short stories that involve witchcraft, and it was super duper good because it showed you like all the bad sides kind of like what people are willing to do and stuff like that. To like women of who have power, but like they're all different stories, but a lot of them have to do with that, or like sisterhood and stuff like that, and I just really, really enjoyed it. I've had 4 stories in here that I'm absolutely in love with, and like I'm going to look into the authors. It's so good. Just if you like stories about witches and all, I would just recommend it. And if you like just stories that I just love short stories like that. I don't know. If you like short stories, I recommend it. And then next, we have my most exciting novels for everyone, probably. I read A Court of Mist and Fury by Sarah J. Maas. A Court of Wings and Ruin. And, A Court of Frost and Starlight. So I finished The Court of Thorns and Roses series, and I also read the novella, so I've got this whole series under my belt, which is a combined like 7,000 pages. This was amazing, obviously. That's why I read all of the books in it one after the other. I haven't done that in a very long time, like just read through a series, and I did that with this series because it was so good. So if that doesn't tell you something about it, I don't know what will, because it's amazing, and just please read it. I'm gonna say, for anyone, if you've read the first book and didn't like it, continue with the series, because I think the first book is the worst book of the entire series. I hated it. But I heard so much, like, on BookTube talking about the second book, and the second book is probably one of the best books I've ever read. It's the best book I've ever read for character development, plot development, uncovering things you never knew. I feel like the first book is just, like, surface level. She meets this guy. So the first book is about a girl who ends up killing a wolf, but he's actually a fae in disguise, and the kingdom of the land, like, who the wolf was a part of, he comes and takes her to his land, and she stays with him, and she kind of learns about him and stuff like that. And then you find out that he had this, like, kind of curse on him, where, like, he had 50 years to have something happen, and she was supposed to make it happen, and she didn't. So she has to go and save him from this really, really messed up girl who, like, literally took over the whole land of fae. Like, she got everyone. She's smart and ruthless, so she has to go through these 3 trials to, like, prove her love, and then, of course, she's, whatever. So, the second novel takes all of that, which is all, like, surface level, and throws it out the window and shows you what was underneath all of that, why it was happening. It shows you so much more of the world, and it's so good. It's so good. You gotta read it. I already want to reread it. Like, it's so amazing. I haven't had a book affect me like that in a long time. But I'm going to end this here so I stop rambling because I will keep going on about this series. I love you all so very much. Oh, they're all 5 stars, obviously, of those 3. If you like this video, give me a like down below. Tell me of any of these books that you've read and what you thought about them. Tell me kind of what you think about A Bear and the Nightingale if you've read it. I don't know, I'm so iffy about it that, like, I think if I had some other opinions, it might make me, like, either decide that I don't like it or continue with the series. But I love you all so very much, and I'll see you guys in my next one. Bye-bye!